organizational well-being consultant, back today to share with you more tips, tools, and strategies for managing stress and becoming more resilient in the areas of emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual wellness. So today I'm sharing with you some ways of coping with the stress of future casting with fear of the unknown and uncertainty. And this, I think, and I may have said this because we're on day 8 now, and I may have said this probably 2 or 3 times already with whatever the topic has been previously, that this is one of the most common things I am hearing right now in my conversations with people, regardless of whether it's around their business or around their kids or family or just how they're feeling, within themselves, whatever that is. They're feeling this tension, this overwhelm, this stress that is associated with, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. What does the future hold? When is this going to end? And then what? So all of this uncertainty is leading so many to have stress. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips. So if you're tuning in now, whether on the broadcast live or on the replay, share this out on your timeline or tag someone who you know is doing this future casting and worrying about what's going to happen with themselves, with their work, or with the world, or with coronavirus, whatever, right? So that they can get these tips. And so let's talk about future casting with fear of the unknown and uncertainty. So fear of the unknown and uncertainty cause us to what I call future forecasting, right? So Dr. Daniel Amen, he's a psychiatrist that I've been following his work for many years, actually inspired so much of the work that I do in my coaching practice. He has this formula that he calls ANTS, or automatic negative thoughts. And he has a whole series of training, and you can research Dr. Daniel Amen or just put ANTS. Everybody has written a blog about Dr. Daniel Amen's automatic negative thoughts. But one of these automatic negative thoughts is around what he calls fortune telling. And it's what I'm saying now to you about what is future forecasting. And anyone that has anxiety or has panic attacks and feels this tension in their chest all the time is spending way too much time focusing on the future of the what ifs and the maybes and the mights. So anytime you're in that future thinking, whether it's because of what's happening now that seems real or things that you don't know may be happening, as we're talking about with around the uncertainty of all things in our lives right now, because it's true for everybody. I mean, none of us know what the future is going to bring. None of us. So, because there's too many variables, things could change. So as we're plugging into and listening to all the stuff on social media and the news and the live streams and in the newspaper and from our neighbors and our friends and family, everyone talking about what do you think is going to happen, and you're reading the statistics on the probability of this, or if this happens then this is going to be an outcome, and people aren't getting their unemployment compensation, and if they don't get it by then this could happen, and the economy might crash, and if that happens then this could happen. And do you hear all the if, maybe, somehow, possibility, this could, would, whatever? It's all false, because none of it has happened. So how could it possibly be real? It's all future projections that are putting us in this state of fear. So, how do we get out of that? And what is even really happening within our bodies? Because that's the important thing that I always want to help with the understanding of. When we understand, have this self awareness of what's going on in our mind, our body, our feelings, our spiritual aspects of ourselves, we have a much better opportunity to be in control when we understand what's going on and why it's going on, how it's happening. So, what is happening when our brain is searching for information to tell us, about what may or may not happen? Because when we are focused on thinking about those future possibilities, right? Then what you're telling your brain when you're in that state of worry, you're telling your brain to keep searching, right? And when our brain is in this, I need to be searching, looking for something. What's the problem? Where are we going to get attacked? Where do we need to be defensive and protective? It's constantly searching for information for two things. One, to protect you, and two, to validate your thoughts, which is just crazy. So we don't want to validate our thoughts around what may happen, which isn't even true. So our brain is always looking for something to validate and confirm what you're thinking, right? So you're going to always notice quickly, you'll notice more quickly those things that confirm what you already thought, right? You'll hear somebody say something and it'll be a trigger word that makes you go, aha, what is that? Let me catch that, because that sounds like what somebody else said, right? And you're just looking for confirmation, validation, permission to believe, right? So don't do that. But that's what's really happening with our brain. So understanding how our brain works and why that's even happening can help you have better control over that. So you have better control over how you're feeling. So here's the thing. The future hasn't happened yet, just in case you weren't real sure about that. So anything that you're listening to or have an expectation of, you're setting yourself up really for disappointment and more fear. Because if it doesn't turn out the way the charts said that it would, some statistics said that it would, some authority said that it would, then we still are in this state of fear because we're going, well, now what? Right? So now we're like, well, now what are they going to do? Well, now what do I do? What is my next move supposed to be? Do I get more Clorox wipes? Like, I mean, it's madness, right? That what we do to ourselves. But I want to help you with this. So what's happening in the brain now, right? So we're talking about how the brain was searching to validate, to confirm what you were thinking, the role that you're on. But where this is happening in the brain though, right? So your brain immediately, when you start doing this and projecting into the future where you have this fear going on, which now triggers a stress response, it's sending these signals, these electrical signals, which are triggering chemical reactions in that emotional center of our brain. The limbic part of our brain is lighting up saying, all right, what the fuck is going on here? What are we supposed to do? Are we fixing something? Because there's nothing to fix, right? So because there's nothing to fix, because you're just worried about the future, the brain is in like overwhelm, right? It's like in hyper mode, right? So your body now, your hands are cold, your body is starting to sweat, your chest is tightening up, you're about to have a panic attack, all over an imaginary thing, essentially. So how do we calm this down, right? And on top, so I'll give you a couple of things, but on the other part of that with our brain, right? So now we have our limbic brain all lit up, fired up, ready to, help solve a problem, put you into fight, flight, or freeze mode, and none of that is necessary because there's nothing to do. The other part of that is that this frontal part of our brain that is helping us with the problem solving and being logical, and our temporal lobes, like everything just that part of our brain that we really need in these times of like problem solving is offline, because our body is in a stress response, and we're like, everything is going to our lungs and our heart to help flee this unknown future event. Okay, so that affects our judgment and our learning and our memory, and that's not good. So I'm going to share 2 solutions with you. All right, so the first solution is, and these are going to be super simple for you. Most of them are just thought-provoking. But first, because of the way that Facebook has now changed all these Facebook Lives, I can never see who's on live with me anymore. So if you're on with me, say hi. Even if you've watched this on the replay, I'm trying to monitor how Facebook is sharing out our Facebook Live. So just give a like or a hi in the comment or something so that I know that people are seeing the video. Okay, so besides that little commercial there, so here are the 2 things I'm going to share with you that you can do to get out of this state of fear around uncertainty and projecting future forecasting. So number 1 is asking yourself. So when you start ruminating, right, or you're hearing something and you know that they're saying this could or this may, ask yourself, is this true? Even if it's just your thought, right? Like, if so-and-so gets sick, or if I don't get my unemployment, this could happen. And, and so stop, pause. Is this true? Is this real? And if the answer is no, or I don't know, then you need to stop lying to yourself by trying to create a reality out of it. Try to make it true by continuing to tell yourself a story around it. So if you're asking yourself, is this true, associated with something that hasn't even happened yet, a future thought, a future possibility, something that you're saying, if this happens, then this will happen, pull yourself in the moment and say, is this true right here, right now? And the answer has to be no. So if it's not true, then that means you're creating a lie. You're creating this false reality. I don't think you can create a false reality. Like, you're just making something up. So that's not serving you. So that's the first thing. So if you're making up an imaginary story, then stop lying to yourself. So that would be the first thing. So that's one easy way to do an assessment, right? Here's the second thing that's going to serve you well in this area. Get in the freaking present moment. Only working with the facts and what is real for you right now. So in this present moment, are you safe? And if you are, in this present moment, say, in this present moment, I am safe. In this present moment, can you choose how you feel? Well, you can, because you choose how you feel. So in this present moment, I choose how I feel. How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel anxious? Do you want to feel sad? Do you want to feel depressed? Do you want to be in this state of worry? Because that's not healthy. That's not creating wholeness in your body. So the answer is no, I don't want to feel this crappy ass way. So how do I want to feel? And make a decision about that. In this present moment, can you choose your next step? And you can. Your next step could be go have a cup of tea. Your next step could be, your next step should be to create a shift, not just mentally, but in how you feel, a decision that you're making, but also taking action to create a shift in your energy. So when I get in these states, and it's so automatic for me, I don't even notice it. I notice it when I realize, oh, okay, let me go back to moving to that next thing, right? But there are a few things that you could do, but stay getting into the present moment. So create a shift. So what is the next step? What can I do to shift my energy right now? What is the next step in moving me forward toward a goal that I have, or creating a better environment? for myself to protect my space or whatever, right? What is your next step? You know what your next step is. When I say, what is the next step that you can choose? Something comes to mind. Make that your next step. It might be go get a snack, so do that. So in the present moment, you can decide what to think because you are in charge of your mind. You are in charge of your body. Choose what your next thought is. And choose a thought that is empowering for you. Choose a thought that is positive. You can choose what your thought is. When your thought is positive and empowering, you're going to create a feeling in your body that can be positive and empowering. When you're choosing to feel light, when you're choosing to feel joy, when you're choosing to feel a little bit happier, whatever that is, right? Then your thoughts are going to lean towards some, again, our mind will usually go to images first, right? It'll create an image to what makes me feel better, right? So what is something that makes you feel better? Is it going to have a glass of wine? Is it watching a funny show? Is it painting your nails? Is it going for a walk? Is it going to hug your cat or dog? Like, what is that? So, whatever, going to read a book, going to journal, that would be fantastic, right? So, whatever those things are that make you feel good, choose to do that as a step. Choose to decide in this present moment what you're going to think. You decide what to believe. You decide what to believe for yourself. You decide whether you want to believe that information or not. But if it's in just an assessment, are they talking about the future? Well, then that has nothing to do with me because I live in the present moment. I can only live in where I'm at right now. I can only control where I am at right now. It doesn't mean that you don't plan or prepare. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the energy of what you're creating around uncertainty that's creating fear in you. Planning for the future shouldn't be based on a fear motive. Okay, so in the present moment, you can choose love or fear. You can choose love over fear. And as we're choosing love by choosing to be in the present moment and choosing things that are positive and choosing things that are fulfilling and choosing things that are empowering and serving us and bringing us joy and making us feel good about ourselves, we can't possibly be thinking about the future because we're only right here. So if we're over here, wherever that is, I don't know, the past, I'll say that, or over here, which I'm pretending is the future, you can't be here. You can only be one or the other. And here is where safety is. Here is where happiness is. Here is where you're going to feel your best at this moment. So in your assessment and centering yourself in the present moment, you're supporting yourself in reframing your prior thoughts, which were fear about the future and the what ifs or whatever you want to call that. So here in the present moment, as you list and state the truth about your current experience of where you are, how you're feeling, how you're choosing to feel, what you're seeing, like what do you see around you? You're not seeing bodies dropping. You're not seeing a collapse of the economy. You're not seeing right here around you an empty bank account because you're not looking at that, right? So we're not avoiding things that are bad and negative necessarily, but in the present moment, when you need to shift, focus on what is and the control of your thoughts and your feelings and what your beliefs are, and do some type of energetic shift by taking a step. What's that move that you need to make to get into action to shift your energy out of the space where you were creating this negative future forecasting energy? So remember, you have the power to decide how you think and feel. Don't let someone or something else take that power from you. At any given moment, you are in charge So don't let the energy of things outside you decide what that's going to be for you. There's plenty of things we don't have control over. We don't know what the future holds, and we don't need to be too concerned about that right now, because what we need to be concerned about is our wholeness and taking care of the well-being of our bodies and our families, and being in the present moment and engaging with those that are with us is the most important thing that we could be doing right now for our health and for their health, and even for our businesses' health, whatever that is, whether it's professionally or personally. This is relevant across the board. Okay, so hope that was helpful. If you'll use one of those tips, let me know. And I will be back tomorrow with something more. And if there is a topic around stress that you want me to share about, share it in the comments or send me a PM on this page. And if there's something specifically that is challenging you with stress that you would like me to help you find a solution on, comment and I can talk about that. And if you need an extra layer of support, you really want to do some deeper work around some of this, there is a link in this post that you can book a call with me. And until the end of the month, I have those at 50% off. So it's a good time to get some support, get some direction, figure out what your next step needs to be. What are some resources that you could have to move you to that next level, to feeling more at peace. All right, good night.